Are you looking to live a more fulfilling life? In this video, we're delving into the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us how to cultivate resilience, wisdom, and inner peace in the face of life's challenges. 1. Give to others, but refuse to be used by them. The idea that we are all connected is fundamental to the concept of giving to others. Additionally, Stoicism teaches us to face life with knowledge and reason. Giving to others is an example of practicing kindness and compassion. However, we veer from the straight and narrow, giving in to manipulation or being used, when we allow others to take advantage of us. As such, generosity in the Stoic tradition must constantly be balanced with wisdom. Giving shouldn't stem from a feeling of duty or availability, but rather from a position of richness. Giving out of a sense of obligation changes your deeds from virtue to deeds motivated by other causes. The Stoics remind us that we are free to decide what to do and when to do it. This includes giving. You may make sure that your generosity has significance by ensuring that your actions are consistent with your aims and ideals. There will always be those in life who try to profit from the goodwill of others. The Stoics taught us that although we have no influence over other people's actions, we do have power over how we react to them. You give up control over your own behavior and feelings when you let other people take advantage of you. Stoic values are all at odds with the feelings of bitterness, aggravation, and emotional tiredness that result from this. The value of maintaining inner peace is one of Stoicism's key lessons. When you give to others without thinking about your own needs, it disturbs your sense of tranquility. You have to gain the discernment to know when someone is taking advantage of your generosity in order to avoid being taken advantage of. It takes emotional intelligence and guts to refuse when it's not appropriate to do something. One of the most well-known Stoic thinkers stressed the significance of being aware of your own value. He noted in his letters that we should never give more than we can afford to, whether it is in terms of money, time, or energy. It's critical to identify when your generosity is wearing thin and to take action to safeguard your well-being. Setting limits helps keep relationships positive and prevents the misuse of your generosity. Setting limits is an act of wisdom and self-respect, not selfishness, according to the teachings of the Stoics. You can make sure that you can offer to others without compromising your own needs by setting clear boundaries. You can give more effectively when you set boundaries. Your acts are more meaningful and long-lasting when you give freely and without expecting anything in return. On the other hand, you become exhausted, resentful, and less able to assist those who actually need it when you allow others to cross your limits. Limits can exist in a variety of ways. For instance, if helping someone starts getting in the way of your own obligations, you can choose to cut back on how much time you spend doing so. Setting emotional boundaries and spotting when someone is trying to take advantage of your generosity are other options. By doing this, you preserve your generosity and guard against being taken advantage of. The discipline of detachment is essential to Stoic generosity. This entails giving without getting caught up in the result or hoping for something in return. Giving from a genuine place of generosity comes from a place of conviction, rather than from a need for recognition, acceptance, or return favors. Recognizing when your kindness has run its course is another aspect of detachment. Giving in to someone who is abusing you will simply strengthen the toxic relationship. By assisting you in letting go of detrimental or depleting situations, detachment enables you to concentrate your attention on important relationships and activities. Finding the right balance between self-respect and compassion is the essence of Stoic generosity. The Stoics held that serving others is a basic aspect of being human, and that we are all a part of a greater totality. However, they also instilled in us the value of honoring our wants and self. It is neither wise nor moral to jeopardize your own well-being by giving too much or letting others take advantage of you. Giving with a Stoic perspective entails exercising discretion, establishing boundaries, and making sure your deeds are consistent with your beliefs. Giving prudently helps you preserve your inner serenity and dignity while also serving the greater good. Giving is a necessary component of leading a moral life, but Stoicism teaches that it must be done so with discernment and self-awareness. Kindness and generosity are encouraged, but you should also be aware of when your goodwill is being taken advantage of. You may keep improving the lives of others and safeguard yourself from exploitation by establishing limits and exercising detachment. 2. Love someone, but keep your heart safe to prevent hurt. Love is a beautiful and essential aspect of life, but it also calls for wisdom and moderation. As Stoicism tells us, while loving someone can result in great happiness, pleasure, and connection, it can also lead to possible suffering, loss, and disappointment. The Stoic perspective on love focuses on learning how to love in a way that is consistent with reason and emotional fortitude, rather than completely rejecting relationships in love. It is human nature to want to love someone unconditionally, yet Stoicism makes a clear division between our controllable and uncontrollable world. Although we have power over our own ideas, feelings, and behaviors, we are powerless over the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of others. This core tenet of Stoicism is essential to comprehending how to approach love with both an open heart and a cautious mind. Love should be approached with balance, according to Stoicism. On the one hand, unconditional love is what we are urged to do. Love is unbreakable. It can endure when everything else fails. One of life's most fulfilling and significant events might be falling in love. It fosters emotional development, instills patience in us, and makes it possible for us to feel a strong sense of connection with another person. To be in love but keep your heart safe means to strike a balance between being open and vulnerable and protecting yourself. This means learning to be emotionally resilient and retaining your sense of self, even in the face of strong emotional ties. It does not imply being aloof or frigid. According to Stoicism, we shouldn't let other people's behavior or outside circumstances control our inner tranquility. It's critical to keep in mind that we have no influence over the actions, decisions, or feelings of those we love. The way we react is something we can manage. Protecting your emotional health also entails setting limits. In cases where the relationship is detrimental rather than beneficial, characterized by ambiguity or disdain, protecting your heart may include withdrawing or reassessing the partnership. This is about not letting the relationship constantly damage or degrade you. It's not about avoiding pain entirely, because love is inherently risky. The accepting principle is one of Stoicism's core tenets. It's crucial to accept someone for who they are rather than for what you wish they were when you fall in love. This entails recognizing their individuality, their shortcomings, and their weaknesses. The Stoics held that our attachments and our irrational expectations of other people are mostly to blame for our suffering. We set ourselves up for disappointment when we go into relationships expecting perfection or complete certainty. We learn to love with acceptance via Stoicism. Respect the individual for who they are right now, not for the future you see for them. As a result, there is less strain on you and your spouse, enabling the connection to develop organically. You give yourself and the other person space to develop and change when you love without attachment. Recognizing that love, like everything else, is prone to change is a necessary part of keeping your heart safe. This does not imply that you should live in constant fear of losing someone. Rather, it suggests that you accept love for what it is and be emotionally ready for the chance that it may change or cease. Maintaining this viewpoint will allow you to completely experience love and stay strong when faced with loss. According to Stoicism, loving oneself is a prerequisite for loving others. It is much simpler for someone to take advantage of you, whether on purpose or accidentally, if you do not think highly of yourself or retain a feeling of your own worth. It is not necessary to minimize your demands or your dignity in order to show someone you love them. To protect your heart, you must learn to love and respect yourself. You are less likely to put up with bad behavior or give in to emotional manipulation when you appreciate who you are. True love, as Stoicism tells us, is sharing your life with someone while retaining your own integrity and well-being, not losing yourself in them. Love is a strong and energizing force in Stoicism, but it must be handled sensibly and in moderation. Deeply loving someone is a wonderful thing, but it should never come at the expense of your emotional well-being or dignity. You cultivate wisdom, resilience, and self-discipline. 3 Stoic virtues, by keeping your heart safe while showing open love. 3. Someone doesn't truly care about you if they don't miss you when you're gone. The harsh reality of life is that not everyone thinks highly of us in the ways we would like. Acceptance of this reality without resentment or hatred is encouraged by Stoicism. If someone doesn't seem to care about you after you're gone, it doesn't mean they don't value you. Realizing that someone we cared about doesn't feel the same way hurts, but Stoicism teaches us to let go of this disappointment and move on. We liberate ourselves from emotional upheaval by letting go of the demand for approval from others. Those who genuinely love you will mourn your absence. If they don't, it's an indication that you should go on without allowing it to disturb your inner tranquility. This advice serves as a helpful reminder that your value is intrinsic and unaffected by what other people think of you. You can handle relationships with grace and understand that not everyone will value your presence in their lives by embracing this Stoic way of thinking. 4. While listening to others, express your own views and opinions as well. Conversely, Stoicism emphasizes the value of learning from others, having conversations, and listening. It also inspires us to confidently express our own opinions and ideas. It takes guts to tell your truth and the capacity to listen intently to participate in meaningful conversations. The Stoics promoted the idea of dialogue in moderation, which involves listening to others with an open mind and not being hesitant to voice your own opinions. Marcus Aurelius frequently discussed the value of picking up knowledge from others while simultaneously stressing the necessity of remaining true to your own convictions and knowledge. You demonstrate humility and respect by listening, which are traits that are highly valued in Stoic teachings. However, it's also critical to speak up when your observations help advance the discussion. Being Stoic helps you learn how to strike a balance between being assertive and humble. When it's appropriate, speak up, but have an open mind about the potential that you could learn something from others. Discussions ought to be an intellectual interchange rather than a contest for supremacy. You can develop deeper, more genuine relationships with people by listening intently and thoughtfully expressing your own thoughts. This Stoic method promotes respect for one another and personal development. 5. If you really trust someone, you'll either make a lifetime friend or learn an important lesson. Any relationship needs trust, and Stoicism teaches us to approach it realistically and optimistically. Although it can sometimes lead to disappointment, having complete faith in someone can create close, lasting friendships. But even in disappointment, there's always something to take away. Positive or unpleasant experiences can all provide insightful learning, according to the Stoics. You make a lifelong friend if someone turns out to be trustworthy. You acquire insight if they breach your confidence. Epictetus tells us that although we have no influence over other people's behavior, we do have power over how we react to them. There is a danger associated with trusting others, but if we want to create lasting connections, we must take that risk. Being Stoic helps us to be open-minded and trusting while being ready for everything that can happen. When trust is violated, the Stoic course of action is to view the circumstance as a chance for personal development rather than to hold grudges. 6. Funny how when you're happy by yourself, people want to be with you. People seem to gravitate toward you when you are happy with yourself, which is one of life's paradoxes. True happiness, according to Stoicism, originates within and is not dependent on approval from others. People are drawn to your confident and serene aura when you are content with who you are. Self-sufficiency is important, according to Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius spoke a great deal about the need of developing inner peace and learning to find happiness within yourself, as opposed to looking outside of yourself. People find you magnetic when you reach this degree of inner serenity because they are drawn to individuals who don't require continual affirmation. The Stoic idea that we have power over our happiness is brought to mind by this advice. When you put your own needs ahead of other people's approval, you project confidence and independence that draws others to you. Strangely, people are more inclined to want to be near you when you no longer require them to complete you. You can build healthier relationships based on respect and admiration for one another, instead of neediness or reliance, by practicing self-sufficiency and an inner serenity. 7. It's better to be unique than to strive for perfection. Since perfection is a myth, Stoicism tells us that embracing our uniqueness is preferable to aiming for an impossibly high standard. The Stoics warn us that rather than striving for perfection, we should concentrate on our character, deeds, and thoughts, since life is full of flaws. We set ourselves up for failure when we strive for perfection, since nobody can do it. Rather, living a life that is more real and rewarding comes from accepting and valuing your individual traits, eccentricities, and imperfections. Not perfection is what Stoicism encourages us to strive for, but virtue. Being unique entails embracing who you are without feeling pressured to live up to social norms that demand perfection. The Stoics respected genuineness and held that every individual has a special function to fulfill in the world. You can live in harmony with nature and your genuine self by embracing your individuality. This counsel is to embrace your uniqueness and to resist the need to be flawless. You develop self-acceptance and lead a more fulfilling life when you do this. 8. Setting high standards helps shield you from negative situations. Stoicism emphasizes the value of upholding high standards for oneself as much as for other people. Sufism is a way of being respectful of oneself. They keep you safe from entering into relationships or circumstances that are inconsistent with your morals and beliefs. You are less inclined to accept less than you deserve in relationships, the workplace, or personal pursuits when you uphold high standards. This has less to do with being stiff or distant, and more to do with realizing your value and rejecting mediocrity. Maintaining high standards helps you shield yourself from needless suffering and letdown. According to Stoicism, we have power over how we choose to interact with the outside world, even though we have no control over everything that happens to us. Setting high standards for yourself is an expression of power over what you will and will not put up with in life. In order to make sure that you only bring situations and people into your life that improve your well-being and are consistent with your principles, this guidance urges you to develop integrity and self-control. 9. It's important to end conversations with people who don't seem interested in you in order to prevent further pain. Accepting things as they are instead of how we wish they were is a lesson Stoicism imparts. When someone seems uninterested in conversing with you, it's best to back off and prevent unneeded hurt. The Stoics advise us to concentrate on our own behaviors and feelings rather than how other people see us. While sociability is a normal human want, Stoicism teaches us to notice when our efforts are not appreciated. It will only cause you additional emotional suffering to keep trying to engage someone who is not interested in talking to you. Respecting oneself and other people instead of giving up is the key to accepting this reality. It's a Stoic practice to let go of things that don't contribute to your well-being and to concentrate on developing connections that bring satisfaction to both parties. When someone displays indifference, you stop them to maintain your dignity and shield yourself from more emotional damage. This advice serves as a helpful reminder that it's acceptable to leave circumstances where your efforts aren't appreciated. You uphold your dignity and inner serenity by doing this. 10. It doesn't always take long to mend damage once someone is harmed. Honor those who are close to you. Stoicism teaches us the value of appreciating the people in our lives and the significance of considering the effects of our actions on those we love. Whether done on purpose or accidentally, hurting someone can happen quickly, but getting better usually takes time and effort. In his writings, Marcus Aurelius frequently discussed the value of compassion and empathy in our relationships with other people. While emotional forbearance and self-control are emphasized in Stoicism, it also teaches us to be sensitive to the sentiments of others. It's critical to own up to our mistakes and try to make things right when we hurt someone. The Stoics also serve as a reminder that mending and forgiveness take time. Apologizing is not enough. We also need to allow the other person to process their hurt and show patience and empathy. Because relationships are delicate, and it can take a long time to repair trust after it is lost, it is crucial to value the people who are close to you. This guidance exhorts us to appreciate the people in our lives and to act with awareness. Kindness, empathy, and patience are skills that we may use to create relationships that are more robust and resilient. These 10 insightful life lessons, viewed through the lens of Stoicism, provide significant insights into navigating relationships, personal development, and emotional resilience. These guidelines can help you develop inner serenity, self-awareness, and a clearer grasp of what's important in life. While there are things in life that are beyond our control, Stoicism serves as a helpful reminder that we always have the ability to choose our own responses, which helps us create our own path to a happy and meaningful existence.